So I'm sure Jodi has some incredible things to say because she's so positive and motivating. So please welcome Jodi Carnley Penrod. Did I pronounce it right?
Oh my gosh, so now I had to go after Louise. Thanks a lot for that. That's awesome. You know what I wanted to do for just a quick second, if you guys would, because this is kind of my thing. Everybody came in and like everybody sat really nice and quietly. You guys did so good. You're so well behaved. Would you just take a minute and like say hello to the people that are sitting next to you and like introduce yourself to somebody new?
Laura. Jamie. Laura.
Jamie? I'm there.
Eric, Laura.
Oscar.
Hi, Oscar. Laura.
Eric,
Oscar.
Jamie, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yay, now so now we're all friends. Great. I really wanted to share some things with you today that are totally personal to me. And last year, Angel and I have been friends for a while. So Angel's the reason that I am here and connected with you guys today, because then through Angel I've been able to meet Luis, and I've been able to meet Jonathan. And something that I wanted to share with you guys, completely personal to me. Last year Angel encouraged me, he's like, why don't you write a guidebook for this thing that you talk about all the time? And what I talk about is making the magic happen. And the reason that I talk about that is because what is now 9 years ago, 2008, I have to thank for massive changes happening in my life. For 17 years prior to 2008, I worked strictly in the nonprofit sector. And I worked specifically with religious organizations, and I managed volunteers and all kinds of things. And toward the end of 2007, I was feeling just so dissatisfied with my life. Just kind of like, you know, I'm really tired of doing this. There's more out there. I want to explore what's available. And so I did a complete 180 and went into a profession that nobody probably would ever think that I would do, and I decided to go to cosmetology school. Yeah, completely out of what I had been practicing. I went to Aveda here in San Antonio. They were pretty new, and I loved the aspect that their business offered, which was like really personal connection with people. That's always been my favorite thing. You know, service oriented, and I loved it. Plus it was a creative outlet. So 2008, my life totally changed. I went from working to being a full-time student. I have four kids, and at the time they were in middle school and elementary. So I'm negotiating all of that, and 2008 just kept coming with the changes. And so the other thing that happened to me in 2008 that was really significant was I was introduced to the idea of the law of attraction. Now that may sound shocking to you guys. Some of you may have known about this for a long, long time. It was really brand new to me and a really new concept, and I thought, oh my gosh, wait, you're telling me that my thoughts have the ability to create everything, and they are creating everything in my life. And I became a self-help, self-development junkie. And I started paying money and going to all of these seminars, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have the power to create my life. And my husband and I did vision boards, and we did all of these wonderful things that we were looking at going, this is powerful. We can create what we want in our life. And so as a result of that, I would say I had some little successes along the way, because I started changing what I was thinking, or what I was consciously thinking, let me put it like that. And so I was like being really proactive about what I was thinking and then what I was saying, and making sure that those things were in alignment. And we just got really serious about the business of creating in our life. And like I said, we had some minor successes along the way. So 5 years in, 2013, we had kind of gone on a roller coaster ride. And I kept wondering, like, why is this not fully working? How is it that I watch shows like The Secret, and I watch all these things, and these people are talking about all this magic that happens whenever you start getting these things working in your life, yet I'm only seeing little minor successes. What's the deal? And I read a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And it was in that I discovered, oh my gosh, like I'm totally dealing with these thoughts that are conscious. So are you familiar with the little thing in your head that's going off all day long that's just a chatter? It's constantly chattering. Somebody walks up to you and says hello, and you're like, oh my gosh, why did they come say hello to me? Like, that's what's going on in your mind, and you're like, hi, how are you? And that voice will not be quiet. And so that's the conscious part of what's happening in our life. And I was really working hard on that. I was trying to train that chatterbox up there to say positive things and to think positive thoughts. Yet what I discovered is that it wasn't the conscious part of my thinking that was controlling my life at all. It thinks it's in charge. However, it was this deeper part, this subconscious part, that was actually running everything in my life. And so I had to start going there, and so I was like, okay, well now I've got to look deeper into this, because I had learned this magical formula, and you guys probably heard this formula, that thoughts lead to the way that you feel, and the way that you feel leads to the actions that you take, and then the actions that you take equal the results that you get in your life. And I was like, well, I don't really know how to discover what those underlying thoughts are. And someone said, well, Jodi, it's really easy. Take a look at your life. What are the results that you have in your life? That will clue you into what actually is going on in that deep, secret part in your thinking life that you're not aware of. And so I started learning about my subconscious mind. And I'm telling you guys this because when I'm talking to you about making the magic happen, anybody else in here like Harry Potter? Okay, cool. So I'm not the only Harry Potter nerd in the room. Okay, so I love Harry Potter and the wands and the magic and the spells and all this stuff, you know, and all my life growing up as a kid, it was like my dream to be a princess, where I just said I wanted whatever I wanted and I got it, right? Doesn't everybody want that? And so I love that part of the movie where it's like they cast these spells and they learn how to cast these spells and create what they want. And the thing about making the magic happen in your life is truly about learning how to use different components of what happens in our life experience to create what we really want. And so thoughts are, I would say, the very first ingredient, the thought part of your life. However, it's not the part that we often go to. I think it's pretty normal for us to go and to try to correct things in our life that are external, the experience part of our life, by changing what we do, right? We approach it at what we do, at the doing level, at the external level, yet it's the thought part of it that's the seed. So whatever the result is in your life right now, your relationships, whatever's going on with your life financially, or in your career, or in your level of success, or whatever you perceive as a lack of success, it's all started way, 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 way back with the seed. And the seed was the thought, yet it wasn't the thought that you think that it is, that's the chattering thought. It's actually a thought that's underlying. So here's a good example. Maybe your thought is, I just want to be with my soulmate, the person that understands me and loves me for who I am, and we have a wonderful relationship. Yet, that's the conscious thought, okay? So underneath that could be that getting close to people is painful and they will hurt me. And that's what's really running the show. However, you're working really hard to have the personal relationship and you don't understand why every time you meet somebody, it doesn't work out. You don't understand. And that was what was happening to me. And so I had to learn how to go to that deeper level. And I will tell you that through this process of seeking out how to get that subconscious mind under control, which is what I like to do, I like things to be in control. When I was seeking that out, I started to learn more and more about myself, because even at that thought level where it's like being close to people could actually cause you pain, because sometimes it's hard to trust people or whatever that subconscious thought was, there was actually another thought underneath there. So there's like layers, like an onion, basically, to who and what we are and our thought life. So the first ingredient in making the magic happen is really about getting really deep into the thoughts, the subconscious thoughts, not the ones that chatter around in our brain all the time. It's the ones underneath that make the chatter happen. So it's like why people struggle with weight loss, maybe, for example, because I have done all the diets and they work for a little while and then I go right back and I'm like, why does that keep happening? Well, it's because anybody else wake up and they're like, you know, I really should go to the gym today, but I really don't want to. You know, it's really cold outside and I just don't want to go to the gym. And so we're like, how we start working on how to train that little yapping dog in our mind that says that. However, it's not coming from there. It's coming from a deeper place that triggers that conscious thought and then holds us back. So it's really about working on that deeper thought. So the first component was learning how to look at the seeds that were being planted in my life, which were those subconscious thoughts. And I did that through reading books like The Power of the Subconscious Mind, and then I went to seminars and things where they really talked about the subconscious thoughts more than cheering me on and telling me how awesome I was. So that was really, really important. And I think as you're working in your life to make magic happen, that if you can get down there into those deeper places of your life and go, what is it that's actually causing me to feel like I don't want to go to the gym today? Because it's not just the fact that the weather is cold outside. There's something else in there that I need to look at and examine. So that's one part of it. And I started looking at that. So that journey, when I decided I needed to go deeper, led me to some things where I was like, wait a minute, do I really want to sign up for this? Do I really want to know what's down in here? Because once you start showing me, oh, not so pretty, you know? And so I signed up for a program this last year, and it was really crazy how it all came around, and that's another story I can tell another time. It's just the way our life works whenever you get set on a path and you get set on that you're going to pursue a thing and that this is what the end result is going to be, and I'm going to find out what it is that keeps holding me back. I'm going to find out what it is that keeps pulling me back. Every time I make a couple steps forward, how come the rug gets pulled out from under me? So I did that. I came to a program, I took a class, and they offered this 90-day, really intensive personal coaching program. And I was like, you know what, I've been to Tony Robbins, I've walked on fire, I'm doing this, I'm gonna do this. And so I signed up, and after the first weekend being there, I thought, I don't know if I want to do this for the next 90 days, because they gave us a personal coach that was going to talk to us every single day. And when I met this guy, I was like, I hate you. And I might punch you in the face if you talk to me one more time, because he sat with us at lunch and he was such a jerk. And I was just blown away. I was like, aren't you supposed to be here like holding our hand and like comforting us and, you know, telling us it's going to be okay even while we're digging up all these disgusting things about ourselves, you know? And no, he didn't do that at all. He was like, get over it, suck it up. You want to be better? And I was like, yeah, I really hate you. So we had this really terrible relationship at first. And he would call me every day. And he would talk to me about what my action steps for the day were. And I just played right along, because I've worked in, as I left the nonprofit sector and I moved into cosmetology, I opened my own salon. And I had my own business. And I've done hair and makeup for television and runway and all kinds of fun things that I enjoyed. I had to go make it happen, or that's how I felt. And I was like, if that's what I got to do, I will go make it happen. Anybody else know what that feels like? Like, I'm going to go make this stuff happen for myself. And so I did, and it led to a lot of awesome things. That was what I was geared to do. You know, if somebody gives me a task, I'm like, I'm on it right now. It'll be done in 2 seconds. And that was my knee jerk. So when he would call me in the mornings and I would talk to him, he'd be like, so what do you got going on for today? I'd be like, I got this, and I got this, and I got this, and I got this. And he's like, Jodi, you've got like 20 action steps. And I'm like, yeah. And there'll probably be more that I didn't even include on this list, you know. And I was like, I'll show you, I can do this. And I did that for 30 days. And there were days that I was like, I swear I don't want to talk to this guy. I do not want to be on the phone with this guy. And I had to do a bunch of other stuff in there. And one of the things he told me that was so powerful, and it totally like, I was like, I know this, yet I need to know this in me. He said, you need to have a new relationship with these 3 words. And these are the 3 words that he told me. He said, you need to have a new relationship with the words be, do, and have. He said, where you're coming from, because he knew I was coming from some sales backgrounds and things like that. He said, where you're coming from, he said, they've been teaching you that in order to have what you want, you need to do these things. So you need to do this in order to have this result, and when you have this result, this is who you will be. And he's like, that's not what this is about. He's like, I don't need to hear any more about your action steps and what you're going to go do so that you can have this result. He's like, here's what I need you to do for the next 30 days. And I'm like, great. Now I got to go learn something else. Okay, great. He said, here's what I want you to focus on every single day. I want you to tell me what you're going to be every morning when I talk to you on the phone. He said, because if you will get into agreement in yourself about who and what you are going to be today, then that will lead you to what you need to do. And whenever you do that thing, then you will have what you want. And so I have been practicing now, this has been for more than half of a year, of every day thinking about who am I going to be today? What am I going to be today? And I got in alignment with that. And Angel and I did a live video on a Thursday night. We were talking about being happy. And that made so much sense to me at the time when I did that video, more than it ever had in my life, because we do things that make us happy, or we encounter experiences that make us happy. Yet I wasn't choosing in the morning when I got up that today I'm going to be happy. And that's a completely different thing. And so he explained to me through this process, and I was still kind of hating him at the moment, he said, when you get up and you begin to operate in what you're going to be for the day, you will have everything you set out to do. Because part of the process through this work was I had to set massive goals in 4 areas of my life. Things that scared me, things that were bigger than I had ever accomplished. And he said, you're going about it in the way you've always gone about it, which was go to work, go do, and you're not thinking about the other components. So I want you to have a new relationship. So this is another part of making the magic happen in your life that I want to share with you, because it worked for me. And I had a new relationship with being, with what I was being every single day. What is the beingness that serves me today to help me get to where I want to go? And so I would challenge you, whenever you're moving on into 2017, when you get up in the morning, think about what you could be every morning and every day that helps you do the things that get you to where you want to be and what you want to have and all of those wonderful experiences. So that's the second ingredient in making the magic happen. It's really focusing on you want to be, so then you'll do what you need to do and you'll have what you want to have, okay? So the third ingredient, and there are many others that I could share with you, but I'm not going to for the sake of time. This is just another one that I think is really important. And it was something that I have definitely been in the process of learning. And I call it going with the flow. Now, my personality type is not to go with the flow. Any of you just totally naturally go with the flow in your life? Anybody in here? Yeah? Go with the flow? Cool. Awesome. You're going to rock this part of making the magic happen in your life. The rest of you, this is going to be a bumpy road of learning how to go with the flow in your life. And the reason that this was significant for me was I felt the need to control literally everything that was happening in my life. I have 4 children. If you include my husband, that's 5. And sometimes he acts like that. So we have to run on a schedule at our house. Now my kids are older. They all drive. My older 3 are in college. They can do their own thing. There was a lot of years, though, that we had to make things happen, and there was no room for chaos. I mean, I'm the lady that packed the diaper bag, and then I would pack extra stuff just in case the stuff in the diaper bag got messed up and we didn't have what we needed, you know? And I learned how to do that, and to think ahead, and to plan ahead, and do all that kind of stuff. And so I've lived for years and years and just being in massive control of what's going on, or thinking that I was. And then whenever things didn't pan out the way I wanted them to, total meltdown, total freak out. So this part of making the magic happen in your life and really being able to create what you want in your life and living in the place of success and living in a place where you're accomplishing your dreams, like Louise talked about, I had to learn how to surrender. And I don't like that word because it made me feel weak. It made me feel like I was giving up. And a lot of people, and especially in the environments where I worked before, like especially in sales, oh my gosh, my boss, when I started living in this, totally hated that I would come to our sales meetings and I would talk to my team about, listen, set your goals and then put them over here and just go do what you gotta go do and stop being so focused on it. Like, surrender it, you know? He didn't like that. However, it worked like a charm. And so this is something that I've learned in my life, that I would really just learn how to go with the flow. When my kids were little, my youngest daughter, who's now 15, was about 6. I decided one day that I was going to take all 4 of them tubing. We went down in the summer to go float the river, and I was going basically by myself. My dad went with me, however, not a help at all, so I was basically going by myself. Now my kids had never floated the river before. My boys were older. They're the ones that are like, we got it, Mom, you know, whatever. My girls, on the other hand, no, not so much. And they were freaking out about being in this river. So we go down to the river, and if you guys have floated the river, you know, I mean, it's fun. It's a fun time, or it can be, except when you take kids. Not fun at all, okay? And so we're floating the river. My dad, the help that he is, decides he's going to be responsible for the ice chest. You got the kids, I got the ice chest. And I'm like, really? Okay. So I get these kids in these tubes. We don't have enough rope to tie them all together. So I've got 2 girls in 2 separate tubes, my youngest daughters, hanging on to me for dear life while I'm in my tube. My boys are just taking off down the river. My dad is holding on to the ice chest. He's just having a good old time, him and the ice chest, floating down the river. And they're way down there. My girls are frantic because every time we hit a little bump, a little rapid or whatever, there's this opportunity for our tubes to come separate, and they don't know what to do with themselves. So I'm frantically like paddling and like trying to keep them close to me, and my youngest daughter's like, just let me get in the tube with you, and I'm like, it's not gonna work, you know, you're too big. And it was just like, I thought this could have been such a relaxing day, and it turned out to be the complete opposite. My dad's nowhere in sight. He is absolutely zero help. If anybody gets out of their tube, it's all on me to make sure that they're safe. And I mean, we paddled like crazy to stay together. And it was me mostly, you know. My husband will tell you it's Jodi. She's the worrywart. She's the one that freaks out. My kids are like, my boys, Mom, it's okay, we're fine. You know, I'm like, I can't see you, stay close. You know, all those crazy things you do. And so I'm paddling, and I'm frantic, and I'm trying to keep everybody together, and I'm like, we gotta go down the rapids together, we gotta end up at the end together, you know, all this. And when we finally got to the end, my dad was down there on the bank, waiting with the ice chest, drinking a Coke. Where have you guys been? You know? And I'm like, we're just trying to keep it together, we're trying to stay alive on the river, you know, so frantic. And I got to the end, and I just assessed what had happened for those 2.5 hours on the river, which was not relaxing and not enjoyable for me at all. And it wasn't because I decided that I was responsible for keeping everyone together, and that we had to go together, and that it was important that we all get there, and I just paddled like crazy. I had the, you know, the rash you get from the tube, you know, my arm, the whole thing. It was miserable. And I was like, I created that. I did that. Because I decided that it had to be this way. And so what I learned was that river is moving. The river's moving. And you know what? I could have just decided to just hang back and chill and float in the tube like I'm supposed to, and the river would have carried me to the end anyway. The result was going to be the same. I got to choose whether I enjoyed it, or basically what I did was I resisted it the whole time. I created resistance in an effort to get where I wanted to get, just because I was being frantic and paddling and trying to keep it all together and doing all these things. So in this process of creating what you want in your life, what I'll share with you is there is so much value in going with the flow, because guess what? Life is moving in a direction that's forward and progressive, period. Everything in life is doing that. And you can either get in that flow and let it take you to the next thing, which is going to be the result you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was going to the end anyway. There was an end point. I was going there. I could have allowed myself to enjoy the journey of getting there, and then get there and be relaxed, and be like, oh my gosh, it was such a great day. Instead, I was worn out, I was exhausted, and I had rash under my arms, you know? So what I want to share with you guys is something that I've learned in this process of making the magic happen, and that is really learning to go with the flow. You know, babies, when they teach them to swim, little bitty babies, in order to save their life, one of the first things they teach them is to flip and float. If they ever fall in the water, they teach them to flip and float, because in the flipping and the floating is where their life is saved. They're saved in that, just that simple little move. This, what I'm talking to you about, is the flip and float of your life. Literally, just when things happen and you get thrown into the water and it's crazy and you don't know what's going on around you, that you can flip yourself around and literally just float and let the water carry you, because that's what life wants to do. Life wants to lead you to the place that's good. Life wants to carry you into your dreams. Life wants to get you there. The thoughts that you're having right now didn't originate with you. The things you want to accomplish did not originate in this part of your brain that's chattering all the time. It came from something bigger that can see it through. So in creating the things in your life and making the magic happen, I would encourage you guys, go with the flow. Don't kick against it. Let it carry you to the end, because it's going to take you there anyway, and just enjoy the ride. Thank you so much.